So, sir, I really wanted to know how luxury houses design their collections and how do they get inspired?
To answer that, let me tell you a fascinating story. The main lead of the story is a lady. To get a little bit about her, let me tell you that she's the only woman in last 70 years to be sitting at the throne of Christian Dior fashion house. Before her, only men were appointed as creative directors of this house, and even those men are extraordinarily talented. To name a few, they were Isa Laurent, John Galliano, and Ralph Siemens. And finally, after all this, Maria Grazia Chiuri broke the stereotype of the men only tag from the house of Christian Dior, and she was appointed as the creative director in 2016. You must be thinking, who is she? What kind of credentials she has to turn the whole ship around? No, this man is not her husband. He is Pierpaolo Piccioli, the creative head of Valentino. Yes, all those romantic fantasies that you get seeing Valentino dresses are designed by him. But for almost 8 years, from 2008 to 2016, both of them were working together as co-creative directors at Valentino. And because of their work, the House of Valentino rebound back to the topmost position in the luxury brand. Now you know a little bit of Maria's professional history, so I think it is the right time for me to tell you that she is extreme feminist and is always angling to put forth a feminist message in all her shows. She says that a woman is willing to perform her jobs despite the elements working against her, and those elements only make them tougher. You would be thinking, who are these women now? Who are dressed like Barbie girls and behaving like Spanish rodeos? You have kind of guessed it right. These women are called escaramuzas. They are Spanish women rodeos and take part in the only female equestrian event in the Mexico called Escaramuza Cara. These women have to ride horses in choreographed synchronized maneuvers to music. If you will look closely, you'll notice that these women are riding side saddled, not sitting cross-legged like men. They wear traditional Mexican costumes that include sombreros, dresses, and matching accessories. I'm sure you would be wondering why I started talking about escaramuzas. Actually, Maria got inspired by escaramuzas for her 2019 cruise collection. Now, if you want to know what is cruise collection, let me tell you that a cruise collection is outside the Fashion Week calendar. These shows were designed for wealthy clients in 1920s. Since these richies spend their winter in tropics, these shows are called cruise collections. The cruise collection mainly allows fashion houses to reaffirm their values, and it also provides a great opportunity for business. Komal, to understand how designers get inspiration, it is also very important to know what kind of person is the creative head of any fashion house, because that will determine the aesthetics and also the narrative of the collections. Before Maria, there was John Galliano. He believed in different things, so the whole look of the house was different. So now, since you know Maria is such a big feminist, it is obvious to understand how these powerful women became inspiration to Maria. So to answer your first question on how luxury house gets inspired, their creative heads does extensive research on cultures, artists, social movement, histories, current affair, to really look for an inspiration that first emotively touches them, and then if that subject has the potential and has not been explored enough by other designers, they start working on it. Basically, after the inspiration is frozen, they go to the next part of the design process.
How do they make their mood boards then?
Frankly speaking, to create a mood board, a designer needs to do a lot of research to understand the subject so that their final narrative should not have errors. So after the inspiration, Maria started researching about escaramuzas. There were many questions that she wanted to find the answers for, like, what was the purpose of this cultural event? Why would women dress up in elaborate traditional Mexican clothing and do these rodeo shows? In her research, she found out that this sport was inspired by the Mexican Adelitas, who fought for the Mexican Revolution. Adelitas were women fighters who made significant contribution to both the federal and the rebel armies of Mexican Revolution. So post-revolution, this sport emerged as a tribute to those powerful military women. How this research would be so exciting for Maria, who believes in the power of women. So these were the initial visual boards that were created of her research, which we can call like a series of inspiration boards. After the research on escaramuzas, now Maria has a challenge of looking at fabrics, finding different fabrics and motifs for prints and embroideries. So in her research, she found the Parisian fabrics of the 18th century, which are called toile de jour. Once she was convinced that this vintage expression of the print, she started working with artists to introduce wild animals like lions, tigers, and monkeys to bring in a modern chicness. So frankly speaking, every designer has different way of developing fabrics, and sometimes your design process demands a certain method for textile development. So for your third question, there is not one single answer. After the inspiration and the research and creation of mood board and fabric understanding, the last part was to develop silhouettes that were based on the Spanish inspiration coming from escaramuza, but combined with modernity. This Maria sketched the whole collection. After that, all the sketches are realized into prototypes, and finally the planning of the show happens. So she chose the royal stables of Chantilly Castle as the show venue. The cruise show was a real treat where Maria paid tribute to the famous French fabric toile de jour by beautifully revising and modernizing this tool with printed picturesque scenes that emphasize images of undomesticated animals, including tigers, monkeys, and snakes. The wide and extravagant skirts are worn with tight jackets made of Japanese cotton, and they are combined with pants of various shapes that accentuate the narrowness of the waist, emphasized with a high belt. Delicate dresses were combined with contrasting military-style boots with a thick sole, spinning tradition in a contemporary punk way. Even the hats of the models were designed exclusively by Stephen Jones. But the main feature of the show was a group of escaramuza women whom she invited to do the show to display their horse riding talents during the show. So this is one of the stories of design journeys of luxury houses. I have a lot more stories that I will love to share.